Two former American GIs return to Saigon and remember how, 40 years ago, they set up home with their Vietnamese girlfriends.
The day that I had to go home, I knew it. I couldn't tell her that I had to go. I'll live with that for the rest of my life. It's hard to even talk about it. I can't talk about it.
Now they want to find the children of those relationships.
May I hold your hands? Of course! Because these hands held my baby.
And sons want to be reunited with fathers.
Cha lần nào chắc em nghĩ lúc đó xúc động quá chắc nói không được, chỉ biết mừng và khóc thôi, cảm động thôi.
Saigon, April 1975, and American personnel rush to get on the last helicopters to take off. They leave behind girlfriends and tens of thousands of children fathered by American soldiers. Jerry Quinn was one of those soldiers. 62 years old and currently a missionary in Taiwan, he hasn't been back to Saigon for over 40 years. He's here now to look for his son.
It's not the same. You know, it was Quonset huts and Jeeps, and now you've got fancy cars and motorcycles, and the bicycles are gone. The real irony for me is that the war was all about bringing communism here and getting rid of capitalism. All those soldiers died. And yet when you look around, when you look everywhere, you see capitalism.
Ho Chi Minh was leader during much of the 20-year war against America, fought to bring about a united communist country. Over 500,000 American troops tried to stop him, until a humiliating peace treaty signed in 1973 sent the majority of them home. Jerry, who worked in communications, served 2 6-month tours. At the Museum of the American War in Saigon, now renamed Ho Chi Minh City, the guides tell the locals of barbaric acts committed by the Americans during the war. Jerry didn't expect his own people to accuse him of the same when he got home.
To brand me as a baby killer when I felt like I was serving my country, you know, Mom, apple pie, Chevrolet, I came back, I'm a baby killer.
No wonder many GIs preferred to forget. It took 4 decades for Jerry to come back.
Beautiful daughter, 3 grandchildren, I'll be happy.
Jerry has contacted Brian Hjort from Denmark. Brian came across the so-called Amerasians, the children of former GIs, when he was a tourist in Vietnam 20 years ago and was moved by their predicament. With his Vietnamese friend, Phon Nhu Hung, they've worked voluntarily to put together some 30 fathers and children. It could have been many more, says Brian.
I'm the one to call the fathers. I want to hear the father say, why are you calling? What do you want? Why you talk about Vietnam? Stop calling me. I don't want to have anything to do with that bastard. This is not my son. This is not my daughter. Who you are?
And have you had many fathers react like this?
Way too many.
But Jerry is desperate to find his son, who'd now be 40.
She was warm and friendly.
He's got a photo of his former girlfriend, who he only knows by the name Brandy, and of the baby born after he left Vietnam. His family back home told him to forget her.
Actually, Brandy sent this photo to my mother, and when my mother saw the photo, she said, "You don't want to marry a Vietnamese. You don't want to marry a gook." Maybe part of it is that guilt of thinking I could have done something different. Maybe I could have. I don't know. All I know is I'm here now, and because Brian has been so relentless, he just kept saying, "Time, let's go, let's go, let's go," and I'm here.
Jerry and Hung head for the area where he shared a house with Brandy. Some GIs were allowed to live off base. He has the address and a photo of the house, but can't find it.
1640 Quỳnh Quang Tiên cũ là bây giờ nó là Đặng Văn Ngữ rồi, đúng rồi.
16 là hẻm này luôn à?
Dạ đúng rồi.
Sao kỳ quá vậy ta? Nhà này sao tôi không thấy
When the Viet Cong entered Saigon 40 years ago, he explains, they changed all the street names and even numbers.
38. We cannot find out the house with the numbers since the last 40. And that's a problem.
Cô này cũng phải chặt tuổi cỡ anh hoặc trẻ hơn anh. Cô sinh khoảng năm 54, 50.
Another man suggests they go to the police station. They'll have records of the old names there, he says. Others suggest they talk to the family of another GI who are visiting Saigon and staying with friends in a house around the corner. Midas is the oldest of 5 children of an African-American soldier who was stationed in Saigon for 10 years. He now lives in America.
Do you remember any Amerasian children that had like red hair or?
There's quite a few over here.
Really?
Yeah, but
that went to school with you or something?
yes, I only went to 3rd grade in Vietnam, so.
Midas doesn't remember Jerry's son, although he would like to help him in his search, not least because of what happened when he made contact with his father in America.
I stayed there 5 years. When I talked to him, he seemed kind of like, through the conversation, he's kind of like trying to deny the reality. So I'm just like, okay, if that's what he wants, then I didn't want to be bothered. So.
His mother remembers vividly the day the Viet Cong entered Saigon.
I very hard time for what Viet Cong. Every night Viet Cong come my house, he knocked the door. When I opened the door, he told me, "Dirty kid, same black dog." You know, when he say that, he called me ho. I cry.
She told me that when she heard there was an opportunity to take the family to America, she grabbed it and moved them all to New York. In the early 1980s, the children of the American GIs were found to be living in a dreadful state here, discriminated against and living in poverty. The American government felt compelled to start a program of immigration, and in all, some 30,000 Amerasian children went to live in America with their immediate families. But the program came to an end after only 8 years. When Saigon fell, the Viet Cong imprisoned thousands of those who had supported the Americans. Women who had slept with the enemy were publicly humiliated, and those who couldn't escape were sent to re-education camps. Sam was only a baby when his mother went into hiding, and she gave him to her family to look after. But no one wanted an Amerasian child whose features were an unwelcome reminder of the defeated enemy.
Đây là hình của mẹ em, là tên Sầm Ngọc Bội. Em thôi, mẹ rất là thương em, và từ chỗ đó mới đi tìm em. Tức là gì, giao cho em trong nhà, mà em trong nhà lại bỏ cháu đi ra ngoài đường. Thì từ chỗ đó mẹ mới buồn quá rồi, mới uống thuốc tự tử thôi, chỉ vậy thôi.
Life hasn't got much better. Sam was bullied at school and left without any qualifications. He and his wife eke out an existence with the tiny shop they run from home.
Mình đi ra đường chơi rồi bị chiêu chọc, rồi những cái đi đến chỗ công việc làm thì cũng bị người ta dòm ngó với cái ánh mắt nó kỳ cục lắm.
Do you want to meet your father?
Em chỉ chạy tới ôm ổng và em rất là mừng. Cuộc đời của em từ nhỏ tới lớn như là em chưa được gặp mặt cha lần nào. Chắc em nghĩ lúc đó xúc động quá, chắc nói không được đâu. Chỉ biết mừng và khóc thôi. Cảm động thôi.
Hung, this is the address that we need to find right here. I'm sure that if we can find that address.
Meanwhile, Jerry is still looking and getting increasingly despondent of ever finding his son.
It's the name, the street name. This isn't so street name. So we need to find out where is it.
I know that if you find somebody that knows somebody, they'll know somebody, and all we got to do is find the somebody that knows somebody. But it all looks so different. It looks so different.
Then comes the breakthrough that Jerry's been praying for. The owner of a noodle bar recognizes the woman in a white uniform in the photo standing next to Jerry's girlfriend, Brandy.
Yes. Oh, that's her. In.
She says that the midwife had a daughter who now lives in California, but she happens to be in Saigon on a visit. She'd popped into the noodle bar the day before. They contact the midwife's daughter, who's called Kim, and arrange for her to meet Jerry.
This is Brandy and the baby.
Oh my goodness, I remember her. You know why? Oh, I was very close to her. Oh my goodness. I was holding this baby, changing the diaper. I took care of the baby. And oh my goodness, I have goosebumps. I remember her. I sat next to her. I talked to her a lot.
So did you help deliver my baby?
Yes, I did. I did.
So you held my baby
remember.
in your hands?
Yes. And I remember I talked to her. I talked to her a lot because I come in to sweep the floor.
Yes.
I sweep the floor and then she asked me questions and I stop. And I sit next to her bed and, you know, we get along very well. We talk a lot.
So Kim, I just have a question. May I hold your hands?
Of course.
Because these hands held my baby. There's just so much emotion in my heart right now. I may never see him or touch him. This is as close as I will get right here.
Kim gives Jerry her old address, where his son was born and where Brandy lived for a while. The photos come out again for the neighbors. One woman who recognizes the photo of Brandy comes up with a vital bit of information. Brandy's Vietnamese name, which is Bui Thi Goi, and then a shattering bit of news. If what she says is correct, Jerry's son could also be in America. Another former GI, Dennis Hall, has arrived in Saigon to ask for help from Brian and Hung, the two volunteers who help the soldier fathers find their children. They have set up a website which has become a point of contact for American veterans. The two would appear to have little in common, the one a missionary living in Taiwan, the other a retired engineer living in Seattle. But they were and are again on the same mission. Like Jerry, Dennis was not deployed in combat.
I was lucky enough to get stationed here in Saigon and had a very easy, lush job flying VIPs around. But my job was to take care of aircraft like these and keep them fueled up and whatnot. But on my time off, which we had lots of time off, we had 3 days on, 2 days off, I'd spend most of my time downtown. Now look at it, it's totally different.
Unlike Jerry, Dennis remembers exactly how to get to the house he shared with the girl he called Anna.
This is the corner where the Sicklowes used to drop me off every day right here. And I just walked 20 steps to get in my house. And this is it right here. See those circular stairs over there? I don't know how many times I went up those circular stairs. That leads to the roof. And dried laundry, kept our ducks up there in the pond.
His girlfriend, Anna, had told him she was pregnant just before he left Vietnam. We make inquiries of a neighbor.
And this is one that I took at the farm market.
Mrs. Tran remembers the mother and the baby.
Đẹp lắm, thằng dễ thương lắm kia. To mập cao, mình sống giống ông này à? Hả? Lai Mỹ, là đây ai kêu nó sang Mỹ không? Đó có cái ba trước lên ba bạn nhà bà đi rồi nè. Bà thương lắm.
But when the Viet Cong came, like so many girlfriends of GIs, Anna, whose Vietnamese name is Nha, fled and abandoned her son. Mrs. Tran was surprised when the child, then about 8 years old, appeared at the door. His name is Vin.
Thằng Vinh này á, nó ở giữa cái xài đó, nó về đây, nó lững đây, nó kêu nè. Nó kêu bà ơi, bà mẹ con đâu? Để bà mình nói thế này. Bà giờ không biết mẹ con đâu mà mấy bữa.
And then, a few years later, his mother, who now lives in Canada, turned up.
Cách đây là 6 năm á, cái cô này có về 3 lần để tìm con. Tìm con thì nói, mấy bữa sân dính nó có tới đấy, nó tìm chị mà nó xuống đâu mà biết chị đâu, mà tìm. Đó.
Neither mother nor son left any contact details with Mrs. Tran.
If you find anything out, hear anything, or whatever, but my name will be right here in your house. Phone number, everything. If there's anything I can do, anything at all.
Dennis is in shock. In one day, he's discovered he has a son, and unless he comes knocking at the door again, he may never find him.
Nhớ tìm vợ, tìm con cái.
Coming down.
Tội quá. Con dễ thương lắm kìa, đẹp vậy đó. Quá tội.
I know. It's terrible. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Cảm ơn bà rất nhiều.
That night, Jerry asks Brian to use his expertise to search a website for finding family members. They now have his son's family name, and he enters the details. A male born the same month as Jerry's son comes up.
I had one, Van T. Bui,
Yes.
born 1st of September
Wow.
1973 in Oklahoma. We had an old phone number.
Wow. I mean, what are the chances of the same last name, that born in
Birthday.
born in September of '73? That was the year.
sorry, you have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
The trail has gone cold.
I think this part of the town looks more like the town I remember.
Yeah.
I mean, look at it. The only thing missing is hookers, girls up on the balconies trying to get us in the house.
Yeah. That always happened like that.
Time is up for Dennis and Jerry. They leave Vietnam tomorrow. They both have information about their sons, but they haven't found them. On this, their last night in Saigon, they can only indulge in memory and regret.
She said, "You good GI, I really like you. You need to come inside. I buy you drink." And I said, "No, no, no, you no buy GI drink."
You've heard that before?
Yeah, I said, "You want me to buy you drink and take all my money." But she was so insistent that I went in, and she bought me a drink. So how did you meet your lady?
My third day in the country, my first night in Saigon, this gal picked me out of a crowd. He just grabbed me by the arm and tugged me away from the bunch of guys that I was with.
Wow.
I looked back at the guys and I said, "Hey, you think I'm okay with this?" You know, and they were shaking their heads, "Oh yeah, you're okay." The day that I had to go home, I knew it. I couldn't tell her that I had to go.
Wow.
So that I'll live with that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
It's hard to even talk about it. I can't talk about it. Sorry.
It's all right. I've been there.
The next day, Jerry and Dennis leave Saigon. At least Jerry now has the name of his son, and using social media, he puts his photos on Facebook, though he isn't hopeful. In the aftermath of the Vietnam War, only 3% of Amerasian children have made contact with their fathers. Two weeks later, a 41-year-old male in New Mexico recognizes the photos online. The same pictures had been given to him by his mother. We arrange for Jerry to go to Albuquerque. By now, he's learned that Brandy was targeted by the Viet Cong when they took over in Saigon. And like so many mothers of Amerasian children, she abandoned her son.
There he is. They're all jumping up and down. Wow. There he is. Hello. How are you guys? It's a 20-second hug.
How you doing?
Love you.
Love you too, Dad.
A hug to make up for the last 40 years.
Wow. So is it real?
Yes, sir. Now it's real, sir. Now it's real.
Wow.
It turns out that Gary arrived in America when he was 8, thanks to the government program in the 1980s. Gary explains what it was like for Amerasian children growing up in Vietnam.
We were away from Saigon. We were no near Saigon. We were out in the middle, pretty much in the jungle of nowhere to start a new life out there. Built a house out of clay or mud or whatever you call it, I mean, and it was just, it's not a hot and dried, and I mean, just like now, there's no food. You just eat off of whatever you have out there, you know what I mean? It was pretty tough. Growing up back home, you know, being half white, half Vietnamese, it's not fun. So, you know, people making fun of you, your mom is this, your mom is that, you know, you come out like this, you do not belong here, you need to go right now, this is not your country.
Jerry is racked by guilt.
I didn't know, I never knew you were a complete orphan. In my mind, you would have been with your mother.
when I first landed in New York, it was just, I didn't know that was, all I know was, Statue of Liberty means freedom. So I didn't even know that I landed in a state that has the statue. So, I landed in New York, and I told my foster family, I'm like, oh my God, I saw the statue. I'm like, I gotta go there. I need to go out there. I need to climb all the way on the top, so that way I let people know that I'm in America and I'm free, So I made it,
From now on, neither intends to let the other go.